I call Ron Mark.
Thank you, Mr Chair. And likewise, Mr Chairman, I just want to take the opportunity on behalf of New Zealand First just to sum up. Again, affirm that we're supporting this bill, but I have to say, at this very point, given the way in which proceedings have played out, given the seriousness with which we have tried to address this bill and raise genuine concerns, genuine questions about what we see as gaps in the legislation that could have been easily tidied up to remove any degree of uncertainty. I guess, given the way in that's been dealt with here today, the fact that we know that this bill introduced in September could have actually been referred to a select committee. We have a wonderful select committee, the Local Government Environment Select Committee, very well chaired by Scott Simpson, a most collegial committee. I know for certain that if the bill had been put there, we would have got it through the process, allowed submissions, enabled a report to be produced, offered up some suggested amendments to the government, well in time to actually have this legislation enacted so that the Auckland unitary plan could progress in a more expeditious manner. Always trying to be helpful where we can on matters where we actually agree. But, you know, Mr Speaker, this process could actually have put me in this position where I could recommend to my caucus that, like the Greens, we vote against it purely on the principle of the process that's been followed here over the last how many hours, which has been seriously disappointing. I want to say that there is one area that we will move into the third reading with New Zealand First still seriously concerned about the question of the quorum. And I predict this, Mr Chair, just as this legislation has been back to the House 16 times for amendment since it was enacted in 2009, just as it's been amended 13 times, we predict that this will come back for the toilet stop clause. The toilet stop clause will be when people realise that a quorum of 2 does not allow one to let a member of the hearing panel leave the room without adjourning proceedings. We raised a number of serious issues around the quorum of 2, and we're saying that if we had kept the quorum at 3, then we would have overcome those points that we raised in the debate today. So whether we come back to amend the quorum and put it back to 3 or not will remain to be seen. But we are predicting that there will create some questions in the hearings when you have submitters sitting there, you only have a quorum of 2, only 2 members sitting there, and one has to leave the room. Does that mean that we're now accepting here, when this legislation goes through, that in Auckland City, when those hearings panels are working, that they will call a halt to proceedings at that moment, at that time, to allow that member to go off and do whatever they may want to do? Just a cautionary. We could have resolved that easier. It would have been nice to have done that, but here we go, moving to the third reading, and I guess we won't do it until the same legislation comes back for the 17th time for its next amendment. Quite sad, really.